Welcome to Monday Money Mindset. I hope you're all going well. Hope life is treating you well. I'm wanting to jump in today to discuss something that is fairly common and probably not talked about enough. Hence lives in shame and fear and all of the ugly realms of the human mind. So, with that builder, let me tell you what it is. So I want to talk about the fear of running out of money and fear of growing in business. Or not growing enough in business. So I want to first of all pay due respect to this topic because I'm giving a general overview today. A short clip can't possibly cover everything that will be relevant, but I think it's a really important topic, and I think that there could be more discussion around it for sure. So having said that, there are three general scenarios. The response will vary depending on the scenario, but also, depending upon the exact situation within those scenarios, which I won't be going through. I'm just doing general. So the three scenarios are: if you're in a situation where you fear running out of money, but reality is not reflective of that fear, which is quite common and worth paying attention to. So what happens there is there's a mismatch between reality and your actual financial situation and your emotional response. Sometimes we can be aware of that. So in our moments of calm, peace, wisdom, we might acknowledge that actually, I do worry about running out of money, but I know rationally that that's probably not going to happen. And sometimes we might not be aware of that. We might need to go and visit a financial advisor or similar to actually do the crunching of the numbers and to look at your financial situation, see what your expenses are, and generally, unless there's a huge change to your life situation, they can give you some guidance on what you can expect and whether your fears are proportionate to reality. The other scenario is where the fear of running out of money is based in reality, and it's at the point where it's actually almost imminent. You are heading clearly on a path of running out of money, which understandably that can be frightening. And in fact, if that's not frightening, then probably there are some other issues that need to be addressed in helping to overcome the problem of running out of money. And then there's the other situation, which is sort of somewhere in between the ends of the spectrum, where say there is some degree of reality. There might be a dip in income when expenses have stayed the same, and so the fear rises in response. That fear may not be entirely in alignment with the reality, or maybe not enough, but there's a whole range, but it's the fear that can come up. So first of all, if we talk about the emotion of fear, even though it's related to money, the emotion of fear is still fear. It's fear. And I would say that I have pretty good authority to discuss because I have learned through my own life to become good friends with anxiety. And it's a lesson to be learnt. And I am a believer that you can have fear and still take action. You still have control over what behaviours you take. Having said that, I would say that you need to honour the emotions as well and allow them to arise And what I do see oftentimes especially with women in business, helping healing, health professions are sometimes a little more vulnerable to this, because a lot of the women are so giving, and they look after people, that what can happen is that there can be the conception that I need to remove the fear before I can step out and raise awareness for my business, or before I can look at my finances, or take any of the actions that you need to take. I completely understand that desire. I battled with this whole belief and thought process for years myself, and have really only found peace through getting to a point where I could feel the fear, and still focus on what was most important to me and what sort of values I wanted to display and what I wanted to achieve, whilst also having fear come along for the ride, and making fear my friend. So I completely understand. I would say chances of you being able to remove that fear entirely before you can step out are probably pretty slim. So what I also wanted to mention is that the fear of running out of money can be very emotional, and it can be very triggering and shaming for a lot of people, because there's so much shame tied up with money. And often in society we are taught that it's a reflection of our worth and our success in life. So it's very, very triggering when that fear arises. But what can happen is that it can also cause the fight, flight or freeze response to be triggered, which in turn then causes the prefrontal cortex to be inhibited. And this is the part of the brain where reasoning and rational thought takes place. So you can imagine why or how it's so difficult when you're in a point of stressing that you're going to run out of money to sit down and actually look at your finances. And this is why I say, unless you enjoy torture, then don't make any financial decisions when you're in that state of panic, that state of fear and shame. Wait until you have processed the emotions. So, talking about the emotions again, what is processing? Because I've said you can feel the fear and do it anyway. So I'm talking about momentary actions that you need to take, whether it's having a sales call or marketing. But when it comes to planning and actually thinking through, okay, so I'm not earning as much income as I wanted to earn, and my expenses are here, what am I going to do? All right, so to move through the emotions, you need to have an understanding of what it is that helps you. I also have learnt the hard way that suppressing fear is like trying to push a ball underwater. It is just going to come back up and probably smack you in the face. So really about sitting with the emotions or being with the emotions. Some people can move through it through exercise. That's what helps them. Being in nature. It could be yoga. It could be talking to a friend. It could be quiet time. It could be doing something else for a little while and then coming back to it. It's really about working out what works for you. I'm a huge proponent for meditation. That has helped me immensely. That's where personally I find the emotions arise sometimes if I'm sitting in meditation. A lot of the expectation that I sit in Zen is not going to work for me. Allowing the emotions to arise and being with the emotions is actually very self-compassionate for me. And to respond with self-compassion and self-love when sitting in a state of fear is extremely helpful for me, and it allows the emotion to rise and fall, and without pushing, eventually I'm able to get to a state where I can sit and process things rationally. And if that's not immediately, that's okay. I can do one of the other activities, the other steps to get to a point of calm. And I think it also comes with practice, being in business as well, because you have these experiences so many times, and then you go, oh, there's that old fear of running out of money again, and you take it a little bit less seriously. All right, so once you get to a point where you're a little bit calmer and you're able to think things through rationally, that's when I would say you need to come through and look at your finances, look at your expenses, your fixed expenses, your regular expenses, putting money aside. How much regular income do you have? Do you have strategies to bring in more income? Can you raise prices? Do you have awareness around your marketing? Do you have a sales cycle? There's so many steps that you can take to solve the actual problem from a practical perspective. And each of those will vary depending on what you need the most. But I'd say also Simon Sinek, he came up with the idea, actually I think he forwarded the idea of the infinite game, which I think is beautiful, because when you think about business or solving the problem of not having enough money, whether it's in business or just as an employee or a casual, whatever it is, what you have is a game. And I like to think of it as like a chessboard. You're playing a game of chess. The metaphor doesn't work entirely well because you can lose at chess, whereas Simon Sinek talks about the infinite game where it goes forever. But if you're playing chess, you might be in a position where you're behind. The opponent has made some really smart moves and you're sort of in the corner a little bit. The game is not over. By no means is the game over. What you need to do is pause. So in the real world, in business, when you're a little bit in the corner, beauty of taking a pause and thinking through the next best step is oftentimes the wisest thing you could possibly do. And doing that at a point when you're calm and you're not coming from a place of panic is oftentimes the best reality. So definitely there are a variety of coping strategies. I would also suggest think through, are you maybe avoiding some actions? So that can be avoiding looking at your finances. That can be avoiding taking actions that get you out of your comfort zone, to maybe give a speech at a industry event or something like that. It's more about picking up the fear and taking it with you. For some people, having said that, some people actually can have a rational conversation with that little voice that says, just, you can't do this, you will fail. By asking clear questions like, well, what's the chances that I'll fail? Or a rational question like, if I don't sign up 5 clients today, is it really the end of the world? I've got this amount of money set aside for my business. If I burn through that money and I don't meet my goals, how dire is it? You can ask a rational question like that. Now, if the answer is it's really dire, you need to make some changes. And let's flow on from that to the scenario that I mentioned where it is imminent that you will run out of money. And I'm not talking just business, but I'm talking personally. So first and foremost, I would say seek help. It is by no means a reflection of you and your self-worth, but I would say whether it's financial counselling within the government, financial coaching, business coaching, it depends on where you're at. Then there's the practical steps: negotiate with your creditors. It's reducing all of your expenses. It's focusing on the most important bills first. There's a whole range of practical steps, but do not sit in silence. Do not leave it unaddressed. Don't wait until the foreclosure sign, bankruptcy, is at your door. That's the more serious side. But for a lot of us, and for all of us, there is always something you can do. There is always action steps, and you have control over your behavior. You do not have control over whether fear arises. You have control over whether you try to suppress the fear or you argue with it. You have control over that. And you also have control over whether you step outside of your comfort zone. And that is the beauty of being in business. Is, I'm a strong believer that where you are right now and where you want to be, the only distance between the two places is personal growth. And if sometimes you need to change course a little bit, guess what? You learn. So the fear of failure is like fearing learning. So I would suggest you hold that a little less tightly. So if there's anything that you want to discuss a little bit more in more detail, I do 15-minute consultations, free of charge, which is just to help you, give you a quick win on something that's pushing or pressing on your mind. I do actually have a mindset, just a one-on-one coaching offering, which is about money mindset, dealing with this sort of fear and all the different things that can come up around money, and progressing in business and life personally with money, as well as an assessment of your business processes and what you're doing to grow and all of the systems and everything like that. So the money mindset and business strategizing and financial strategizing, I do have a one-to-one consult. So definitely reach out, as I have a bigger coaching system as well. But for the most part, I hope that today's discussion has been helpful for you. And if there's anything that you do want to discuss in more detail, or you have any comments, please leave them. I'm always happy to discuss. All right, that's it for now. Take care. All the best.